What do you have in store for us this summer?
That's a good question. Well, I don't know about the summer. I guess I should begin with what we have in store for the spring. I feel that we are in the midst of a most critical period in our nation, and the economic problem is probably the most serious problem confronting the Negro community. And I might say the most serious problem confronting poor people generally. And I don't want to be narrow about this, talking only about the black poor in our country, because I must be concerned about Puerto Ricans who are poor, Mexican Americans, American Indians, and Appalachian whites. And we are confronting a major depression in the poor community. And I think the time has come to bring to bear the power of the direct action, the nonviolent direct action movement, on the basic economic conditions that we face all over the country. Nonviolence has been a tremendous force in grappling with the social problem of legal segregation and the syndrome of deprivation surrounding that system. And of course, it has been a major force in grappling with the political problem of the denial of the right to vote. But in winning victories like the Civil Rights Bill of '64 and the Voting Rights Bill of 1965 around the issue of segregation and voting rights, we discovered that these legislative strides did very little to improve the lot of the millions of Negroes in the ghettos of the North and in the nation generally. In other words, it did very little to penetrate the lower depths of Negro deprivation in communities all over.
Welcome to
What do you have in store for us?
Another live stream. I didn't even think to what to title this, but welcome to another live stream on the RBN network. I am your host for this evening. I go by Compton J. 1 second, I'm looking for that video again. And today's topic is autopsy. We're doing an autopsy today on the American left. So that's today's topic. In the back, you could see I got the anti-imperialist summit that we just had. I think that's the interview with Dr. Gerald Horn. So yeah, so let's get this going. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna put this scrolling bar up just so you have information, but obviously I'm not scrolling Monday through Friday at the same time. My schedule is really up and down. We're gonna call this "You Left Shit Out." That's the episode. That's what we're gonna call this here. So yeah, what was I saying? So let me start here. I'm gonna come back to some other things. Let me start here. For me, this is my personal, so most of you won't even care. But how I work personally is like, if I don't see progress, like I need to see progress. So like if I, like RBN, FHL originally, who is now RBN, we look back and say, okay, a year ago, are we doing the same thing? Are we saying the same things? What progress have we made? So that's what I'm always thinking. And since being a part of this movement, I would say I've probably been a part of this left movement since for about a year and a half, maybe. Recovering liberal. It feels like we're in the same place. And it just doesn't feel like we're progressing. So I felt like there needs to be some sort of strategy or something like that. But first, we have to assess what the issues are. First, we have to assess the state of the left, the American left in particular. So that is essential in moving forward, that's essential. Sorry, I took a little nap right before. If I look a little sleepy, took a little nap right before. Um, so yeah, so you get where what the topic is. So I was just giving you an intro there, but let's do a chat check. Also, like this stream. Let's see if we can get a lot of people. Like I think on Friday we got up to 500 or 600 people. So let's see if we can get that up. Like this stream so that more people are able to see it, retweet it. I wonder if I can get. I think there's a soccer player that retweeted the link last time, and we all of a sudden got a bunch of people. There is a soccer player that follows me. I don't know soccer that well, and I think he's from Venezuela or Brazil. I don't even want to say, but he's from the global south. He has a lot of followers, but he is, he's a radical leftist. Likes a lot of the things that I tweet and retweet. So I think he did that. So maybe he'll let's see if he's able to do that again, if he's watching. So let's do a quick chat check. People are talking about Caleb Maupin already, huh? Coming together where we live. What's up, John? Somebody just went on calling. I got a notification. Left is best, independent is bestest. I like that. Just some of the conversations that we've lived to. So some of the conversations is illustrating the need for this autopsy here. Some of the conversation is illustrating that need. So I see. Let's see here. All right, I skipped a lot there. Had to. All right, so like this stream. Also, we reach. I don't know if last time we reached 16,000, like 16,400. I think we're at. So, subscribe. I think we added like 200 people. Anyway, last Friday and Saturday, or maybe Thursday and Friday. So let's see if we can continue this. Maybe people are waking up. Maybe people are hearing about RBN more. But thank you everybody in the chat. Thank you, people watching on Rockfin, people watching on Facebook, on Twitter. Let's get into this autopsy. So this is the original graphic here. Let me take that off. So this is the original graphic. And what I was trying to do, obviously there's several people missing. And there's several people that's on here that weren't on here before. And I just thought that let me just try to add more, but became a point where I can't keep adding. So we're at 100 likes and 131 viewers right now. So let's see if we can get another 20, 30 likes up there. Let's get those likes up. So very important for people when we're live streaming to catch this live so that they can interact in the comments. So please, as a community, let's do that. All right, so let's now go through this picture here. This picture, top right. So that's Kyle. He's a commentary. Then we got Anna. Then we got Humanist Report. Is Mike. Okay, Mike. Okay, those are all media heads. Okay, or not media heads, but media people, leftist media. Then we have Nick Brana, who heads the Movement for a People's Party. Then Jimmy Dore, media head. Then we have Ben Dixon. We have Richard Welch. We have Ilhan Omar. This is our first elected leader, and so on and so on. I won't say each one, but you see, we got Brianna, we got David Dole, we got Margaret Kimberly, Cornel West, Kashama, we got Sam Cedar, we got Jamal Bowman, we got Jank, we got Ryan Graham, we got Nina Turner, we got Mariam Williamson. I would say all of these people, AOC, of course, Bernie Sanders, Emma, and Nominki. I think I just said everybody anyway. Brianna Joy Gray. So now let me take that graphic off. So we're going to be examining the left, or this autopsy. I'm looking for the title here. Where this autopsy is going to be an examination of everything. So let me go through my. I won't show you because I didn't prepare this for review. But here goes some of the topics, and I'm gonna be giving grades here. So leftist politics, I'll give a grade. Leftist strategies. I'm sorry, I'll just say left policies, left strategies, left voices, left media, left accomplishments, left building a coalition. Now, it could have been a lot of categories. Quite frankly, I just ran out of time when I was preparing for the show, and I had to come up here and get ready for the show. So that's where we stopped. So there might be some other categories that we're going to be grading them on. But let's go through the first and quickest one. Actually, let me see my notes here. Actually, let me pose this question first, because this is a question I actually have at the top here. And then I'll bring up the first video. I'll bring up the first video. We're going to do this. There's several videos here. I hope I don't go 3 hours today. But there's several videos here that I'm going to be covering. So I'm going to bring up the first one. The first one is by, I think they're called Second Thought. Yeah, and they do these quick little explanation videos. I think I'm supposed to start this at the 2-minute mark here. So this is where I'll keep it there. All right, so let me put that up so I can kind of switch to that. I may need to refer to this in just a second. So there we go. All right, so it's up. Now let's it's a full screen. There we go. So Second Thought video, we'll be talking about that. I'll be playing that in just a second, but I'm going to pose this question first, and that is, are you a leftist? Do you call yourself a leftist, or can we label somebody a leftist if the extent of your leftism ends with your thoughts, meaning you're not outwardly doing anything? So you'll have self-identified yourself as a leftist just based off of what you say you believe in. That makes you a leftist. One thing I took from the Black Power Media Hour during the Anti-Imperialist Summit is this. If you call yourself a socialist, what organization do you belong to? That shows that. If you call yourself a communist, what organization do you belong to that says that? Because being a communist at your house on Twitter does what? Essentially, that's what they were saying. Like, what does that do? I'm a communist and I say it on Twitter, and a bunch of people who also just say it on Twitter are liking my shit. Does that make me a communist? Because that's kind of an overarching narrative of the American left, is that to be considered a left, you just have to verbally say, or maybe in your mind say, you believe in this without any outward action. That's the question I'm posing, just as a topic of discussion in the comments. For people that are here, we're up to almost about 200 people. Let me see where the likes are to make sure we're tracking. And the reason I'm doing this is because it worked on Friday when I did that impromptu. We had a good amount. So we're at 139 likes with 190 plus people. So maybe if we can get another 30, 40 likes added on, we can get some more people here, more people in the comments for all of you to be having these discussions with. Let's like the video. Absolutely. Thank y'all. Let's continue here. So that's the question I'm posing. So let's begin with this video. I think let me see if I made a note of it here in my notes here. I did not, but for some reason I remember the 2-minute mark. Yes, so let's start there. So let's go with this video.
They are determined to tear down every statue, symbol, and memory of our national heritage.
When we talk about the left in this country, it's important to understand who that is. And for this episode, we mean the elected left, so really just the Democratic Party. There's a whole list of small parties and groups, each with its own plot of land on the political spectrum's left wing. But since they occupy next to no major elected positions and primarily operate through influence, they don't make for a very robust analysis of American electoral politics. So with all that in mind, we're really just going to focus on the blue team. Democrats are the center-left party in the US. Look, that's what it says right here on Wikipedia. But what's this? When you plot their voting records and party discourse on the political compass, the completely neutral, absolutely zero bias, omnipotently objective metric of what politics are, you don't get a center-left party. You get a center-right party. How come? The issue here is that left and right are relative terms. There is no objective left or objective right that holds true in every scenario and can reliably be attached to a certain set of policies across all of time and space. What is considered radical and progressive is constantly updated as political battles evolve, and by the same token, what is considered conservative or reactionary changes when the left succeeds in making its goals mainstays, or the right reaches further back into the past for its political program. This basically means that in a country with only 2 viable parties, you're going to get one party that calls itself the right, and one that calls itself the left.
That is a very, very, very astute critique or analysis there that we all kind of say, but I don't know if we said it in this way. That this person is explaining is that if you have 2, I always use slavery because it's the most thing that people can understand. So if you have 2 pro-slavery owner teams, like you have to almost just say one is left and one is right, because you can't say you have 2 of the same team. This is what we kind of talk about as in the creation of this duopoly, the importance of keeping it only 2 teams, because if you have more than 1 teams, that will clarify in one way or the other that these 2 teams that we currently have aren't as left or aren't as right as we think, just simply by adding 1 party. So that's the importance of keeping it at this 2-party system, because it allows corporations to run both parties the same way, and the people think they're 2 different parties. This is why they can't signal on economic issues. They have to signal on culture issues. So let's do a couple of oh wow. Let me see what the topic is here. All right, so I'm gonna stay focused here. So let's continue with the video.
Regardless of where their parties end up on your political grid, they can't both claim to be on the same side, so those labels end up being about which team you like better, not some marker of absolute truth. So then, why does the compass look like that? Even if you disagree with its methodology, the reason that the political compass maps prominent American politicians so uniformly to the right, with really just one big centrist exception, hey you, is because it's trying
American politics, American politicians, and there's one person that's right here on this spectrum.
trying to generalize the political spectrum beyond the limits of the United States and assess our politics relative to those of comparable countries, mainly other Western liberal republics. And compared to other so-called Western countries, the United States Democratic Party is a center-right party. It's the party of economic liberalism.
It's a center-right party, but that's not the focus. But I thought the video was good in the sense that it helped to start the discussion about what defines a leftist. Who are you? Who is the left? And I think the graphic I had up, some of you may say they're not on the left. So that's the question I'm asking. Is that these are the people who either the media themselves call themselves leftists, and I think most of them on here call themselves leftists. That's why they're on here, not necessarily because I'm saying they're left. It's because they've been identified as being on the left. So then let's now go into some of the grading here. And I'm going to put it up on screen. In the first topic, this is our quickest topic we're going to get through because it's pretty self-explanatory. And okay, so first one, let's put these in caps here. Left politics. So this is what we believe in. So left politics, I would give us an A. I think for the most part, the ideology that we're all fighting for, that most of us are fighting for, I'm not going to say all, that most of us are fighting for a safer, more equal world, things like money out of politics, not letting corporations influence our democracy, better, better things for workers, conditions, pay, bigger price of the pie. We want press freedoms. Most of us are anti-capitalist, not all. Trans rights, and so on and so on. Climate change, stance on BDS, on Palestine, on Yemen. So, I would give us an A. And I think, so I think our politics are in the right place. So yeah. So now let's, like I said, that was going to be the quickest one. But now let's go into, wow. I was trying to save the hard stuff for last, but it looks like every single one that's next is going to be some of the bigger things. There's really no way around starting with anything easier here. So let's just go with the next thing here. So let's go with leftist strategies. So let me take this off and update this here. So leftist strategy. So this would be, your forced votes, your inside game that the AOC, that the squad is doing, that the progressive is employing, that the reformist leftists want us to do. So that's what we're talking about. And of course, I don't give it an A. I didn't upgrade the grade. Let me update the grade I gave it. And this is the grade that I give for strategies right there. So left strategies. Oops. Let me mute this here and just let this play a little bit so I can get the economic liberalism off of there and people don't think that that's what I'm talking about. So left strategies. So this is not to say that doing forced to vote is a D. And what I mean by why I give this a D is that there's no cohesiveness. All we have is a bunch of small, individualized attempts of doing direct action, protest, whatever it is, whatever your thing is as an organization. It's completely disconnected. It's like, you know what I mean? It's like this. Oops. This together is more powerful than this. That's the same concept. So we have a bunch of just individualized organizations, direct actions, attempts at fighting the establishment, fighting the ruling class. And this was mentioned a couple of times during the anti-imperialist summit. And the anti-imperialist summit also shined a light on what I'm speaking now about. Did I spell strategies right? Yeah. I'm a bad speller, by the way. If you see anything spelled wrong on RBN and YouTube, it's probably me. So leftist strategies. So the ideas that you're executing is not necessarily the problem. The problem is we're not coming together based on small differences. And this is probably one of the bigger things that keep the left down, is that we are still approaching politics in the way that the duopoly has conditioned us to do so. So we're so proud to say, you know, I'm not participating in the duopoly, break the duopoly. Really? Because breaking the duopoly is also breaking your consciousness and how you approach politics. Breaking the duopoly is not only not voting red or blue. Because your approach to politics is that person that disagrees me on this, I'm out. I mean, just think back to the revolutionaries of our past. I can't say one had that philosophy and succeeded. The philosophy of we don't agree on one thing, two things, three things. So this other one thing that we do agree on, fuck that shit. Fuck teaming up on that. And that has been instilled in us, conditioned in how we view politics, how we watch TV, how we watch politics, and then we ingest it and want to bicker back and forth. We see it, this fight like this. So let me get some of your comments. The comments are getting kind of big here. So let me put some of them up before I keep going on. The left has been systematically dismantled and erased since the end of World War II. There is a lot of legitimacy in that comment, actually. Real left is strictly materialist. So we're getting into some of the terms, materialism and all of that here. Great discussion, everybody. Stealing the word left was part of neoliberals' divide and rule strategy. That is absolutely, that's what they do, co-opting. Everybody's a progressive now. Chantel Brown is a progressive. That is laughable. And what's more laughable is Pramila Jayapal knows she's not, and she endorsed her, and she's fine with, she didn't come out in favor of Nina Turner. This is what I was saying earlier. Are we left simply because of what we think? Because AOC, the squad, they're not executing anything that says they're left, but we call them left. Why? Simply based off of what they say, their thoughts. If you're a socialist and a communist, what organization do you belong that shows that? Black Power Media Hour, Anti-Imperialist Summit. Check it out. Fred Hampton didn't even want to work with the Weather Underground. That's funny. The left believes hustler pimps like, I don't know what that means. I still can't believe that anyone says corporate media doesn't decide who is elected and what people think is true. Corporate media absolutely tells you what your idea is. Left is exactly I always get that Trotskyism. I always get that wrong. Trotskyism. Obama atomized the left by calling up LeBron James during the NBA strike, squashing. Frank analysis in the building. What's up, Franco? People need to accept that their strategies may not be the best and may even be all wrong. Yes. Oh my God. Franco dropping knowledge here. Franco. So this is what I take. If it's wrong, Franco, you can always correct me. This is what I take from what you're saying. This is how I ingest it because this is just my thoughts. So I don't want to make it seem like this is what you're saying. People need to accept that their strategy. That is it. It's like we have our way of we want to do it this way, so we're not going to team up with you because you're doing it that way. And your way is not working, and you just keep doing it your way. And your strategy may not be the best. The squad, Justice Democrats, it may not be the best to do what you're doing. So maybe try something else. Fitting a round leftist into the square peg of the Democratic Party does what? So thank you for that, Franco. The Democratic Party is not left. You're absolutely right. When you're looking at the spectrum internationally, they are not left. But when you are cut off from the other world, when you're cut off from all other countries, literally, when you're cut off in that sense where you're not even understanding what their policies are, you just have a government that's telling you. And believe me, what our government is telling us about all other countries is not 100% true. Most of it is not even true at all. So let's actually now, so strategy. Let me see if I have a video set up for this. Strategies. I do. Let me bring up this video here. Okay. These leftists have decided on a strategy. I want to see what all of you think about it. We're at 260 people. Let's please get those likes up so that we can get more people in this discussion. I'm all about having conversations, having discussions. I love that. We're at 226 likes. Thank you very much. So very close to the current viewership, but let's keep pushing it. So I know some of you are dropping in and out, catching parts when you can. So I do get that. So we're still on this left strategy, and I'm going to share now a different video. Let's stop sharing this one. Here, this one right here. So the black bloc inside America's hard left. Let's listen. I think this is Vice. Now, I wanted to show this video to show people who call themselves leftists and some of the strategies, basically one end of the spectrum of strategies. We have the squad who's literally doing nothing, and then we have them. And then the rest of us are kind of somewhere in between, or I should say the most of us are kind of somewhere in between. Now, I didn't plan to say this, but I gotta say that the strategy here in this video, to me, if more people did this would work more than if more people did electoralism, in my opinion. Like if there was more people doing what we just saw, some of the tactics in this video, if there was 1 million people, for example, let's take, this is great example. There's a 150 odd million people, if anybody is watching know the exact, that voted in 2020. If there was 150 million people doing this, do you think the country will react to what we want? That's my point. We have 150 plus odd million people voted. And what happened? We literally got nothing. And in most categories, it's gotten worse. But if 150 plus million people was out in the streets doing what this video shows, there will be a completely different reaction from our government. Thank you for that. 158 million people voted in 2020. Somebody said something up to Nick, so I'm guessing Nick is in the comments. I'm going to find you, Nick, if you're here. 158 million voted in 2020. And what happened? So 158 million people that participated in electoralism, thinking that at the end of their vote, everything was going to be great. And what happened? Has Joe been moved left? Has the climate crisis gotten better? Has bombs stopped dropping in Syria, in Palestine, Yemen? What do you think would have happened if 158 million people was out in the streets like we see in this video? What do you think would happen? It's all in the strategy. We're employing a strategy that's not getting us anything. And in fact, the strategy that we're trying to gain power to has been rigged by the people who currently have the power. Like, it's laughable that we think the people who are making the rules is somehow going to sit back and watch us play their own game and elect 200 and some odd people to get these things. It is laughable. But if 158 million people was out in the streets like this, saying, fuck your property, fuck what you own, we tearing this shit down unless this shit happens tomorrow. Not no fucking legislation. These are our demands effective tomorrow. It would happen. What are they going to do with 158 million people? So let me find Nick, because Nick is apparently spitting facts in the chat here. So my compadre, when Nick is spitting facts, I gotta put him on the screen. So let me go even further back. Wow, I really need to get a producer. Antifa is ideal. What's up, Nick? Let's see what else he got here. I want to try to go in order. CIA infiltrated. That could be possible now. Would not put it past it. CIA infiltrates everything. The CIA is here. FBI is here. Right now, in these chats, watching. They're here. I'm just talking shit. All right, Nick. So, let me see it. There was one other comment right here. Why are we mad at the people who fight the establishment? Stop falling for the mainstream media smears on Antifa. Thanks for the comment, Nick. 158 million in the streets, and this whole thing would be over. Exactly. Literally. You know how long our protests, you know how long our direct action would last with 158 million people? About 2 hours. 2 days. 2 days, 2 hours to 2 days. And our demands will be met. Because it wouldn't. You have to make them afraid. And there's a video when I get to Chris Hedges. and Richard Wolff, there is a video where he talks about this. Our politicians are not afraid, physically afraid. They don't have any fear of us. And I'm going to get to that video in just a second. So I think it's time to move on to the next topic. This topic, though, for those that's just joining us, I have things broken down. So we're doing an autopsy of the American left. And so far, oops, I hope I didn't close my notes. I didn't. So far I've covered left politics, and they received an A. And now I'm on leftist or left strategies, and I've given that a D. Primarily because we're just having individualized protest and actions instead of coming together. Individualized actions aren't going to do anything much, I should say. So that's why I would give that a D, because there's several disconnected events of direct action and protest that we need to come together on. Now let's go to left voices. That's the next category. I think let's see what I think the grade might be the same. Let me look at my notes here. Left voices. Yes. So when we're talking left voices, I'm talking about people who are left leaning thinkers. So this could be anywhere from what we would identify as liberals to all the way to Antifa, right? So who are some of the voices? Who are some of the people that people who are leftists look to for advice, for counsel, to speak on a topic that they're for? You're talking about Bernie Sanders. You're talking about the Squad. You're talking about maybe Progressive Caucus. MSNBC is seen as the left channel. Now, we all know none of this is true. I'm talking about the narrative that's out there, right? So the Squad, Bernie Sanders, Progressive Caucus, MSNBC, TYT, Majority Report, Humanist Report, Rational National, Jimmy Dore, Marianne Williamson, Ben Dixon, Black Power Media, Us, RBN, Crystal Ball, these are the voices. Actually, I have that graphic, so I'm going to toss it back up there for a second. It's not everybody, because I couldn't fit everybody on the graphic, but left voices. And it's different. Some are more left, some are less left. Some we say aren't left at all. Like if I were to go through here, there's several people I wouldn't even have on this list. Like the best, like I wouldn't, like Richard Welch, he would be gone, like immediately gone from this list. I mean, you already know the media people. Vouch will be gone. Ryan Grimm will be gone. What's his name? Hassan would be gone. Nominki would be gone. Jamal Bowman would be gone. Cenk would be gone. Like most of these people wouldn't be on my list. Ayanna Presley would be gone. So it is what it is, I guess. But what we do notice about this list, mostly white, and still kind of mostly invested in the duopoly. Mostly white and still invested in the duopoly. That's a problem. So where was I just going to get to? I know I had this up. Okay, so I'm on left voices. So let me bring up a couple of videos. I have some videos prepared here. Actually, maybe I don't. So let's talk about some of the. No, so this segment was just to identify the voices. So let's talk about that, and then the next segment is left media. That's when I'm going to dive into the content. So I don't want to jump ahead of myself. So, let me put this graphic back up here. So the left voices, and the reason I give the left voices a D is because not many of us are really talking about revolutionary sort of actions. I mean, just think about it. Let me take this off so you can see the full thing. Who's really not talking about cozying up to the Democratic Party? Nick, maybe? Jimmy? Margaret? I'm not sure if Katie is. I don't know what she is, tells people. I don't. Brianna does not vote Democratic Party. I know that part. I'm just trying to look at the list. I'm not sure if Crystal Ball does. Like, do we really have a left media where the vast majority are talking about supporting? I'm sorry, voices where the vast majority are talking about supporting one of the imperialist capitalist parties. What left media do we have that's saying leftist things? This goes back to what I said before. I'll take the picture off. Remember what I said before? Are we leftist simply because of what we think in our heads? We have beliefs that makes us leftist without any sort of outward display of that. Tweets don't count. Posts on social media don't count. That's really the question. Now let's, so that we can go into what the specifics. Let's update this category, and now let's talk about left media. And this is the bigger category I have here is left media. Let's bring up a couple of videos here. The less is communist. Okay, so I'll just start with the first one. I'm trying to determine which one without looking at it, but I'll just click on the first one. So this might be out of order, the order I initially wanted, but that's okay. So let me now share the new video here. It's opening, everybody. So this video, Kyle and Friends, there's a couple of videos I'm going to bring up with Richard Wolff and Chris Hedges, or Chris Hedges in particular. And this next one is one of them. He was on, I think, is it Crystal and Kyle and Friends? Is that what it's called? Or Kyle and Crystal and Friends? It might be on the video. Let me see. It says on the video. I don't know. But anyway, the left is committing suicide is the name of the video. And let's listen. It is a 5-minute video, but we're not listening to all of it. But let's listen to part of what Chris is saying here.
Where's the line in terms of reaching out to genuinely disaffected working class voters who may even be on the right and may even be hard right socially in some respects, whether it's on immigration or other issues? Where's the line between let's build a big tent that's actually a populist working class tent focused on the issues that affect us all, and what crosses that line? So, you know, do you ally with people who are hardcore anti-abortion, anti-immigration? So in other words, is there an alliance that can be made between the populist left and the populist right, focused on economics, that really can make a dent and move us more in a New Deal FDR style direction?
There is no populist left. The populist left has retreated into a boutique kind of activism around identity politics and woke culture. And
okay, I knew it was the reason I had this video here, because he started out kind of in a different topic, but I knew it was going to come back around. here. Actually, I was supposed to play this for the earlier segment, and where he says there is no populist left. And you hear how he describes what it is, though.
There is no populist left. The populist left has retreated into a boutique kind of activism around identity politics and woke culture.
Boutique activism, a sort of boutique activism. And this is what kind of in relation or has a correlation to what I was saying about, are we left simply because of our thoughts? And this boutique activism that he's speaking about, that makes us left? Is the question that we all should be addressing. And maybe the answer is no.
Sure, and Maoist kind of control of speech, and mistaken that for politics. That's anti-politics. So the left is committing suicide.
I'm going to leave it there. Now I'm going to jump to what actually I was going to talk about. So that part was supposed to be for the previous section. Now let me read what I have here for the media. So this critique. How do I say this? Some content creators may be offended by this next section. Because this critique sort of squarely lies at their doorstep. So in saying these things, I'm not specifically thinking of anyone. So if you're getting offended, a hit dog will holler. Look up that expression. I'm not specifically talking about you, but this needs to be talked about. Because it plays into why the left is so weak. The American left is so weak. Left media contributes significantly to the weakness of the American left infrastructure. Vast majority of left media is he said, she said, clickbait. This is where we simply talk about what leftist said versus what another leftist said. Are you a leftist if you only use your platform to examine the left media infrastructure and leftist infighting? And we've been guilty of this at times on this network. What are we accomplishing by talking about what Hassan Piker tweeted out? What part of that is in the Black radical tradition? Like I said, some of you may get a little touchy with this, but it needs to be said. Why are we calling people leftists who simply use their platform to talk about other content creators? Who use their platform to just kind of critique media? I'm a media person. I'm left, but I'm a media person. Really? Why are we calling you a left person if you can't engage as that leftist because of some career? This is why I say, what makes a leftist a strategy? Leftist is Rome. Rome is out in the street doing leftist shit. That makes him a leftist. Tweeting out and retweeting stuff from your home and your phone at work That doesn't make you a leftist. Going on your platform to talk about Hassan Piker, Vaush, Sam Cedar, we talk about all the time, but that's your thing, like all of your videos. Where's your video about the analysis of the police analysis, not just reading an article? Your analysis, lefty media content creator. You are leftist. Patrick Loyola was murdered. What is your leftist Marxist critique of this? Not you just simply saying, Cenk said this. There has to be a pivot. And it feels like we've been running in place with this game for too long. And part of it is because the people who are the main voices are all wealthy and rich, where they don't have anything else to do but bicker. That's all they have to do is bicker. And then those of us who watch them in the working class, the poor, we just join in with the bigger leftist media infrastructure is saying and doing, even though we don't live in their shoes. We start bickering back and forth while we can barely pay rent. You can barely pay rent, but you're bickering about Joe Rogan. Some of this I know may touch on comrades of the network, and we're all in community. This is me saying we have to do better than we are doing. Why do we expect people to show up to direct action when we keep giving them bullshit content? What have we done to establish people's trust to show up to events? What? This is a general question. I know RBN is doing like what Rome is doing. This is a general, but as a what are we doing? So for me, if left thinking people can't get a left inspired strategy from left media, what is the purpose of left media? What is the purpose of left media if your goal is not to get the people that are watching you to get active in being leftist, doing leftist strategies? Man, 400 comments. Let's see here. I know I went on a rant there. So what else do I have written down here? That is this. I have to say a little more. This is a big part here. What I did have examine the video content. So let's do that. Let's do that. What do I have on the screen? Let me take this down. So let's examine lefty media. So let's go to Majority Report. We're not going to watch videos. We're just going to go on the channel. Okay. Oops. Let's turn this off so it doesn't. Okay, there it goes. Okay, so let's talk about left media here. Now, we're in a pandemic. They're already talking about cases going back up. People are still living paycheck to paycheck. Student debt is out of control. Government's not responding. They're sending billions over to the Ukraine while we're still suffering. Eviction moratorium. I'm sorry, evictions are still happening. That's not even being covered. Homeless population is going up. So we got a lot going on. A lot that leftists should be focused on and getting their audience to handle some of these issues. What do we have on the Majority Report? We have Meghan McCain humiliated during Twitter. We're winning. Already winning. Right? I saw that too. I got to put this up. I want to know more about what Dr. I saw that too. That was a good clickbait little thing they had there. Okay, ideology that led Dems astray. So this is more philosophy. Offended Fox host brags they're still unvaccinated. That helps. Leaked SCOTUS ruling invites red states to ban. So this is a good video, I would say. It's a decent video. And to ban same-sex marriage. Conservative ideology hasn't changed in 40 years. I guess that's decent. Republicans lose her mind during, that's clickbait. This is more just red blue. This channel is about red blue. They do videos that appeal to the blue team and videos that talk about the red team. That's what these people do. That's what the Majority Report does. How to fight the coming abortion ban. Roe v. Wade. MAGA rapper wins Republican primary. Any police shootings? Christian Small stuns Bloomberg. I think I saw that one earlier. Republicans are on the defense over Roe v. Wade. So Roe v. Wade gave them a lot of content, it looks like. A lot of content. So let's see what's pre-Roe v. Wade. Because has taken over. Don't assume liberals leaked the Roe v. Wade. But look at what they're able to talk about. Mitch McConnell, Tucker Carlson, Donald Trump. I forget this guy who was on there, the picture of him. Ben Shapiro. Why do we expect these people that would put out content like this to strengthen the left? Why would the people who are watching them be good leftists? Where are they getting their reference point from? You see why it's so why left media plays a significant role in the left being weak? Because if you'd made all of them, from the Rational National, the Majority Report, from TYT, they all of a sudden started talking radical, revolutionary talk, like RBN, in a year, what would the next Medicare for All march look like? So that's them. Let's go to Humanist Report. Humanist Report typically does better than some. There's that Don Jr. video that somebody was asking about. So off the rails, the Trump video, he does a lot of red blue stuff too. GOP senator says it may be time that COVID vaccinations. He says, okay, Joe Biden has no plan to save abortion. I covered that video actually already. The telecom giant gives up on net neutrality. Amazon union organizer Chris Small gives Lindsey Graham, that's the Lindsey Graham, hypocrisy. Where are the videos about organizing? Where are the videos about people getting into the streets? It's just a Leftist media is just a commentary. Leftist media cannot only be a commentary on what's happening. It cannot be. The Supreme Court, of course, Nina Turner. Biden will not cancel student debt. Utterly insane. This is another Supreme Court. Proud to sabotage or something like that. Felsome cringe. What do we have here? Hassan Piker defends Ethan Klein. Billionaire takeover. Elon Musk. Candace Owens concocts Alex Jones. This is all red blue bait on that channel. That's all that is. I mean, I don't think I need to go through any more. Is it a surprise that the left is terrible as a movement in the United States when we look at some of the content that's coming out? Now, I did an Anna video. I've done a Mike video. Mike when they're talking about leaving the Democratic Party. That gets 6,000 views or something. It's getting close to 6,000, 7,000 views. When I do a socialism video, that gets 2,000 views. You see the conditioning that's there, and people don't think they're conditioned. I can see it in the numbers. I do a video. This just happened last week, so I can use this as an example. The Anna video, I think the Mike video did more. The Mike video is at 6,000 and some odd views. I did the Black Radical and Malcolm X and Huey Newton, 2 separate videos. One had 1,500, 1,500, and the other has 1,300. But the video about Mike and Anna, that has almost 7,000 views. So are they putting out content like this because that's what you're watching? Or are you watching it because that's the content that's put out that they're putting out? But I'm seeing it with my own eyes, and it's quite depressing. It's quite depressing to see videos where we're talking about, Sam Seder do 8,000 views, but, a video where Dr. Horn's appearance at the Anti-Imperialist Summit gets 1,300 views. Is that an indication of who is actually the real left? Is the real left the 1,300 views or the real left the almost 7,000 views? My bet the real left is the 1,300 views. So the vast majority of people out here talking about some leftists, I'm left, is simply not. In your actions, this is what I'm saying. Saying you're a leftist in your head without any outward action does what? An action is you're watching videos that talk about socialism. You're watching the video that talks about the Black radicals. That is an action. If you had a Sam Seder video and you had to say, which one are you going to pick? To me, that might indicate what level of a leftist you are. Right. Reading some of your comments. It's just so many comments. I can't possibly put all of them up, but I am going to do a check on the stream just to make sure everything is going well. Make sure you like. All right. This looks a lot better. So we're at 353 likes. If we can push that to 400, it would be great. Let's get some more people in here. We're at 350 people. If we can push that to maybe 450 people, that would be great, because these streams, we always get the comment, man, missed it live. Because you can put your comment in there, but there's no interaction, and people would rather interact with their comment and have people respond and, you know, respond to other comments. And that's the reason why I'm shouting this out. So like this video, please. Share this video. Let's get some more people in here. Maybe we can get to 500. I'm about halfway through the presentation, or the autopsy. I'm about halfway through. Okay, so yeah. Now let's get back to the topic. We're still with the leftist media, or left media. All right, so let me see my other points here. Oh, I wrote down the example. This is the example I wrote. It's similar. Case in point, I can do a video on Anna Kasparian, and that video will get 6,000 or 7,000 views. But when I do a video on Black radicals, those get to okay. I already said that. So part of the left media issue is the audience, is us. Are we gravitating to the thing? This is how this is an indication, or to me, this illustrates the point I was making, that we are still wrapped up in the way that the duopoly approaches politics, the divide and conquer way of approaching politics. We still do that. And because we still approach politics that way, what we gravitate to are the controversial things, the bickering back and forth, the he said, she said. Because the video with Gerald Green isn't as exciting, and it's talking about building community, though. Imagine if we had 20 RBN speaking this way, instead of one RBN and 19 others speaking a different way. That's the point, and why what contributes to the left in the left media in the United States as a big factor in keeping the left locked out of this. Now, I'm going to play this next video. I played that one. Because actually, yeah, let's do this here. I'm going to quickly go through this other section, only because I don't want to go through my next section and then save this for last. So, okay, so left accomplishments. This will be quick. This will be very, very, very quick. So a left accomplishments, none. It's an F. We don't need to talk about anything else. Did I spell that right? Accomplishments. Left accomplishments, we have none. We get a big fat F for that. So we can move on from that. So let's introduce coalition building, because it kind of talked about that video. And what I have written down in my notes is here. A lot of people who call themselves left refuse to coalition build with people who disagree with them on issues. Because to me, there's a fundamental misrepresentation, misunderstanding of coalition building when we're talking about coalition building to get things done. I think some people take the word coalition building to mean more than what it means. We are in community. In your community is usually people who agree with you with the vast majority of things, 90%, if not all. That's everybody in your community. Who you coalition build, your community, it coalition builds. So the people who you are 100% with on everything, you coalition build with people who you only agree with on one singular thing or two things, and you're only coalition building on that one thing. So it's you and your community who you agree with on everything, building a coalition on specific issues with people you disagree with on other things. The left fundamentally, American left fundamentally misunderstands coalition building. And Dr. Anthony Montoro, I think I'm saying his name right, said it best. He had the question. He was like, let me see if I can find a video as I'm talking about this. He posed a question. He was like, well, as the conversation they were having, it was Margaret Kimberly, Danny Haifong, and Dr. Anthony Montoro, right? And the conversation was about, I think it was roughly about coalition building. And he was like, well, he asked the question, well, I'm surmising it wasn't, this is not verbatim unless I can find the video. Actually, I can't find the video. So I'm going to find the video. I did my research. I don't have a lot of patience. That's why sometimes I skip through this stuff. But doing this autopsy, I do need to be thorough here. So let me find the video so that I can show the... Oh, I'm actually on, so you'll be able to see. It's the one with the big red with a flag on it. So it's easily spottable. Is that a word? Spottable? Is that a word, babe? Spottable?
Spottable?
Yeah.
No.
Okay. Okay, here it goes right here.
You want to play a little bit more?
Yeah, I can yeah, I have it up. Actually, I have... Oops. So let me play some of this here. We're talking about coalition building, right? Let me play this section. I have it right here. So let me play another good. Let me play another good spot where he speaks. We'll talk about it at the other end, right here.
A tactical position out of it. If Black workers have more in common with the big capitalists because they claim to be woke than they do with a poor white worker, then what is Black liberation?
That's the question he posed. Because we've been convinced that the poor Black worker or the Black worker, for example, this is just an example. The Black community have been convinced that we have more in common with the white capitalist class, with the capitalist class, with the rich capitalist class, let's just say that, with the Obamas, for example, with the Al Sharptons, and with, all of this leftist media people, with Sam Seder, with TYT, with whoever, insert person, we have more in common with any of those people than we do the poor white worker who happens to vote for Trump. Then what do you consider in common? Because we need to be looking at it. What are we talking about? What's in common? Are we talking about our political views is in common, which really don't matter when we're talking about our lives, we're living out the edge of our lives, or are our conditions is what we should be talking about? What's common? We're addressing the commonalities that we should be addressing we're addressing the wrong commonality. The commonality is the underfunded schools, the over-policing, the non-investment in infrastructure, the bought legislation, the non-economic opportunity. That's what we have in common. Poor white worker, poor black worker, for example. That's the commonality we should be talking about. Not your beliefs in other, not to that extent that it's preventative. Hope that makes sense. But he makes this point. That's the point that he's making here. And like I said, it's Dr. Anthony Montero. Let's see if he furthers the point. I don't remember.
How do you define black liberation then?
Did he just blow your mind? He blew your mind right there. Huh? Did he blow your mind right there?
I was saying, to be clear, but I was saying no shit because it's not like necessarily my mind being blown. It's just the ideology of the liberal class being just fucking, and I would say the boutique left as well. That's who he's critiquing as well.
Yeah, that's who he's critiquing.
Is being dismantled. Like I'm just in awe at how easily he's dismantling the ideology of the people that we've been going after, CJ. Like this is the
exactly
boutique left that we have been calling out on this show, right? We've been blacklisted by a lot of people for doing it, but it had to be said.
It had to be said, and I don't mind. It was a righteous cause, and as we lose people because of a righteous cause, and I'm fine with that. But I rewind it back just a little bit so you can hear the whole context. This is what I was waiting for.
Have less in common, black workers have less in common with white workers than they do with the.
Hang on 1 second. That point there.
And that's Aristotle on up, It's only in the Anglo-American world, and especially the United States, that politics gets reduced to elections. So
politics have been reduced. Politics have been in America has politics and your extent of your political participation has been reduced to voting. Something you do once every 2 years, once every 4 years. That's what American activism has been reduced to for the vast majority of people. Is that so? Great point. Now let me go back to the original video that I needed to go over. So let's do that. Where is that video? Did I have another video to go over? I'm sorry. Maybe I have to click it. So now let's go into this video with what is it? Who am I? This is Brianna Joyce Gray's video. This is Chris Hedges and Richard Wolff talking about the left. So let me share that, and then we're gonna get into this here. Alrighty. All right, so let's get into it.
Provide the kind of offset to the harsh, ugly realities of regular capitalism. That's not a program anymore.
Don't expect much from the political class because traditionally they respond only when they're frightened, and it's our job to make them frightened.
We're in a shock doctrine moment, and people on the left who say, okay, yes, but the time isn't now because we don't have the infrastructure. We don't have the labor infrastructure. The ducks aren't in a row enough for us to actually take advantage of this moment.
I see all around me lots of evidence that Americans are more in their heads thinking about big changes than I have ever seen in my lifetime.
Well, I've got both of you two here who are two of the biggest minds and most respected minds on the left. I want us to get into that. I want us to start to try to answer some of these questions, because what it starts to feel like to me, I do all of these interviews, and it starts to feel like in Bernie's absence, everyone's kind of waiting for someone else to take the lead. Everyone's kind of waiting for somebody else to draw up the blueprint, as it were. And you said something about in Bernie's wake, there's no organization and there's no kind of agenda. And I wonder how much Bernie and other progressive leaders are responsible for that, because there's an argument that says we have more elected representatives who identify as democratic socialists and progressives than at any time in modern history. They are enormously popular and have a certain degree of institutional freedom generated by the fact that they are fundraising powerhouses who have demonstrated an ability to ward off opposing challenges. AOC had more money spent to try to unseat her. It was the most expensive race in that cycle. And obviously she prevailed. You had these narrow margins in the House, which enable them to basically hold anything up if they want to. Similarly, Bernie Sanders in the Senate can hold anything up if he wants to. And while you are seeing the kind of agitation that I'd like to see around the infrastructure bill, with progressives saying, if you don't pass the reconciliation bill, we're not going to go for the bipartisan bill. You also see 9 corporate Dems doing what corporate Dems always have done, very boldly, without any fanfare, like, of course, we're going to do the exact same thing. And historically, if I had to place a bet, I would probably gamble on the corporate Dems, because progressives have advertised explicitly over and over and over again that because we care about our constituents and because we're not monsters, we'll always compromise and take what we can get, because we got to deliver for our constituents because we have hearts and they don't. They have basically, they advertise constantly that they will always bend the knee, and they blame their compassion for the people as the reason why. Now, I understand that. As
Okay, so let's see here. All right, she does get right to the question right here. I was just making sure we were getting there.
Ethical position, but as a political position, it seems extremely short-sighted. So I guess my question to both of you is, how much should we be holding leadership responsible, and what would you like to see them doing differently? What could Bernie have done differently in the fallout and at the end of his campaign that might have helped to solve this problem of listlessness on the left?
Well, let me start with that. I don't think that the decisions they make are ethical. They are practical. They ensure their own political survival, because Pelosi would destroy them otherwise. And the problem is, of course, the focus on the political leadership. The political class, even the best of the political class, is never going to free us from bondage. That's going to be done through movements. And if you look at the early 20th century, before World War I, the socialist movement, which was united with the union movement, was an incredibly powerful force. I think Rick can correct me if I'm wrong. I think we had 30 socialist mayors. We had, of course, Eugene V. Debs.
Who do we have now? Kashama. I think there might be one more. Correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. At the time, he's speaking about 30 or so socialists elected. And I think he goes on to list some more. Let's listen.
At one point, I think it was the 1912 election, I can't remember, pulling 6% of the vote. The ruling elites were terrified. That's why Wilson, under the Espionage Act and the Sedition Act, went after the left, deporting Emma Goldman. And that's our focus. We have to forget about AOC. She's window dressing. She has no real political power. And of course, Bernie, I'm much more critical of Bernie, perhaps than you are, Brianna. He wasn't building a political revolution. It was political advertising for his campaign, which is why it all collapsed. He never took on the war industry. Indeed, he supported it because it gave jobs to constituents in Vermont. And he wouldn't confront Schumer and the Democratic power hierarchy, which are as responsible, especially on the Clinton administration, for neoliberalism and deindustrialization and deregulation. And
so this is the critique that he has for what some of us would say is the most left person, or at least the person who has gotten the farthest on the left spectrum, is Bernie Sanders. And that's the critique of Bernie Sanders. The not you, it's me. No, it was you. Because soon as your campaign ended, you left. So how was that about us, Bernie? If it was about us, you would have dropped out and continued the fight with us. But it was about you. He doesn't, and he's right, he doesn't confront the people on his own side that has the same complicity in neoliberalism, in war. Bernie can no longer be sort of the gauge of what's left in America. He's simply not there. He's slightly left of center on some things. Some things. So yeah, let's continue with the interview.
Essentially turning government into an entity that exclusively caters to and serves the interests of corporate power and the oligarchic elite. And so I don't dislike Bernie. I don't think he's dishonest in any way, but he's spineless. And he, in the end, chose his career. He did not want to confront Schumer and the power of.
Can you be a leftist and be spineless? Is that a possibility? I don't think you can. And this is why, I've been saying, to me, the definition of a leftist includes strategy. What we call the Black Panthers a leftist organization, if they did some of the things they did, through an elected representative. What if they got free lunch through an elected representative? Is that a leftist organization? Don't we think of them as leftists? Not only because they specifically said they're Marxists, but let's say they didn't say that, but their actions. Going around the system, providing food for people on their own. Isn't that a leftist strategy? Strategy matters. Strategy absolutely matters. So let's continue.
The power of Schumer and Pelosi is that they are the funnel for the money. So all the Wall Street money comes through them and it goes to the anointed candidates. And if you defy their interests, which are neoliberal, they're not even liberal, they're not even traditionally democratic, then they'll destroy you. And they can destroy you by turning off the spigot and funding. And this has been going all the way back to Tony Coelho in the Clinton administration. This has been the transformation of the Democratic Party into the Republican Party. And Bernie knows this. But remember, Bernie campaigned for Bill Clinton in 1996. That was after NAFTA, after the omnibus crime bill, which has, 40% of the people in our prisons are in for selling marijuana or, nonviolent drug crime.
Right. I mean, what leftist props up a neoliberal? Like, that doesn't make any sense. A leftist is supporting a neoliberal, and we are still calling them left. What? Think about that. An abolitionist is saying they're against slavery, and they're supporting the president who's pro-slavery. What? I'm an abolitionist, but I want to join the slave owners team. Make that make sense. You cannot. Let's continue.
Crimes. I mean, this is nuts. The court system doesn't work. All of that was pushed through by Clinton and Biden, by the way. Biden was instrumental in all of that. So I think the focus is wrong. Don't expect much from the political class because traditionally they respond only when they're frightened. And it's our job to make them frightened. And I said it so often that some of the viewers may have already heard it, but I'll say it again. 1971.
Right here, he gives a story. I made reference to this earlier, where he gives a story about our politicians aren't afraid of us, physically afraid of us. That's a problem. And he gives an example here.
Tens of thousands of anti-war demonstrators surround the White House. This is in Kissinger's memoirs, as I also say, don't ever buy the book. Kissinger is describing Nixon. He's freaking out. He's got empty city buses all around, ringed around the White House to protect him, and he's looking through the window and going, they're going to break through the barricades and get us. And that's our job. That's where we want people.
That's what 158 million people who voted would look like in the streets at the White House. We would get whatever we wanted. Literally overnight. Lobbying, that industry is over now. That's over. 158 million people, instead of voting, if we just simply went down to DC, that would be a whole lot more effective. Let's continue here with the video.
In power to be. Max Weber writes about this. So in his little essay, brilliant essay, Politics as a Vocation. And he says, the moment you turn your back on the centers of power, they go right back to creating systems of exploitation and oppression. And that's the problem. We turned our back. We put our faith in AOC or Bernie.
This is the reason why reforms won't work. I mean, how many reforms has the police state had over the years? Reform after reform. How is that working out? How is the campaign finance reforms working out? How is that working out? Let's fast forward over here to, where is he? Richard Wolff is going to talk on this last question.
As the historical kind of seeding ground for these kinds of movements. And oftentimes what you hear on the institutional left right now is, yes, that's the historical trajectory. Yes, that's how things have historically been done. But we have such low union density that we can't take certain kinds of actions that others on the left want to be taken in the context of the crisis that we're in, right? So union density is low, therefore it's not the time for a general strike. If no one's talking, there's no conversation even really to be had about the strike, the October 15th, I believe, general strike that people have been murmuring about a little bit, because it almost feels like to talk about it is to undermine your own credibility on the left. There is very little, I think, in terms very little concrete development or preparation for a student debt strike that could be well timed to the end of the student debt moratorium, which is now at the end of January. And Biden says that's going to be the absolute last extension. A lot of really well-meaning.
We already know that was extended.
Meaning people on the left kind of gesture at these moments of potential inflection point, but there seems to be this unwillingness to commit, to really ask people to donate to a strike fund, to do mutual aid, to offer whatever kind of support that could make those amongst us who are going to really bear the burden of these kinds of efforts feel supported and be supported economically.
So there's an ad coming up because he's about to answer. These ads are so surgically placed. Fucking capitalists.
You know that you can make
fucking capitalists.
What do you think that's about? I mean, are you also observing this tension between we're in a shock doctrine moment, and people on the left who say, okay, yes, but the time isn't now because we don't have the infrastructure, we don't have the labor infrastructure, the ducks aren't in a row enough for us to actually take advantage of this moment.
The only time you know that the ducks are in a row is when it's over and the ducks have shown up that they can stand in a row. I mean, this game of predicting where we are and what we can do now, yeah, you always have to do a little of that, but you always have to do it with an enormous grain of salt that no one knows exactly what is going to happen or how it's going to happen. The last 2 weeks of the departure of the U.S. from Afghanistan after having 20 years to plan gives you an idea of how much under control even situations that you might imagine were pretty well under control aren't. So I don't know what's going to happen on the 15th of October. I don't know what it takes to get people to move, but I'm sure that one of the ways you get people to move is to start moving yourself. Get out there together with those you can persuade to go with you and start to do it. And that even if you fail, the very act, the very effort has its own momentum building capabilities. Anyone?
This is the part, this thing that he's saying here. I think people who do these individual actions that I was talking about earlier, they would point to that. Well, I waited around, nobody wanted to do nothing, so I just started my own thing. I don't hear him saying, go out and start a million different things. He's saying all those individual people go out and start something. Starting 5,000 different individual acts when we come together, or 2 acts or 3 acts, just 5,000 different direct action acts amongst 5,000 organizations, instead of 2,500 organizations coming together and having one event, and another 2,500 coming together having one event. The impact is different. So you find like-minded people and you begin that fight, is what he's saying. But anyway, I got some notes here I want to cover since we've gotten this far in this video. Actually, no, those are, we've went through all the categories. And for those, just recapping, building coalition, got an F. Left accomplishments, we got an F, we don't have any. Left media is a D. Left voices is a D. Left strategies, a D. And our policies are an A. So thus far, that's what I have. Now let's get to this other video. This other video also has, I think this one is Chris also, but I won't set it up. It is a short video. That's the one I already watched. Oh, right here, 2 reasons. So Chris Hedges talks about 2 reasons in this next video. This video is like 3 minutes. 2 reasons why the American left has failed. This is Chris Hedges. Oh yeah. Let me share this different video. Now, this video was taken by somebody in the audience that was watching him speak. And so it's a camera video, is why I was saying that. And let me make sure it's turned up to its volume peak. All right, so let's listen to Chris Hedges discuss reasons for failure of the American left. Let's listen to that.
I think the failure of the American left is due to 2 crucial mistakes. The first is that it's not our job to achieve formal political power. It's our job to stand fast with a moral imperative in the way that all the great reformers in society did. And most of them began as very isolated, marginal, and often ridiculed figures. And I think the second mistake is to succumb to a kind of practicality whereby we judge the efforts that we make in the fight for justice by what we see around us. And this is the strength of the religious left, figures like Dorothy Day, Martin Luther King, is that we have to, I think, finally find within us the strength of the faith to believe that what we are doing, while it may not transform society or the world in our lifetime, nevertheless has a kind of a power that often we don't recognize in the moment. I spent almost 2 days.
He's speaking to a point I had with Hector when I debated Hector. He's saying, run. I was like, don't run as a Democrat, run as something else. But I'm wasting my time running. And I'm like, well, is that wasting your time? We still on the left we only view an accomplishment as winning an election. And this is what I mean, that we still are conditioned in the thought process of the duopoly, even though we don't vote red or blue. So breaking the duopoly is also breaking that conditioning. So let me rewind it, and then I'm going to take it point by point that he makes here.
I think the failure of the American left is due to two crucial mistakes. The first is that it's not our job to achieve formal political power.
That first part. It's not our job to achieve formal political power. That means it's not our job to get people elected, to get leftists elected. That is not our job, is what he's saying. Certainly not elected in the Republican and Democratic Party.
It's our job to stand fast with a moral imperative in the way that all the great reformers in society did. And most of them began as very isolated, marginal, and often ridiculed figures.
The fact is, the people who are the most left of us aren't going to run for politicians because they understand they're more valuable on the streets, in the community. So if you've even reached that point, maybe locally, you can still sort of be that. Like Kashama is proving that. Let me see this next point here.
And I think the second mistake is to succumb to a kind of practicality whereby we judge the efforts that we make in the fight for justice by what we see around us.
Right. We judge the efforts that we make for the fight for justice, for the fight for Breonna Taylor, for the fight for Medicare for all, based on what everybody else or people around us are doing. So if they tweet and I tweet, I did my job. But some of us has friends who actually on the street. So if I have a friend on the street, you know what I'm saying? Like, so it's I guess it's a sphere of influence. It's just some more.
And this is the strength of the religious left. Figures like Dorothy Day, Martin Luther King, is that we have to, I think, finally find within us the strength of the faith to believe that what we are doing, while it may not transform society or the world in our lifetime, nevertheless has a kind of a power that often we don't.
Right. So this is a great point, that for those that are fighting, like there is no, the winning is the fight. The winning is the fight. Electing people isn't the accomplishment of a goal, like of the point. Let me play that one more time here.
Society or the world in our lifetime.
Oh, that's the point. It's hard for it may be hard for some people to accept that we've been fighting imperialism for literally decades. Sometimes we're just the generation that's carrying the fight to the next generation. In other words, we may not see the fruit of our fight right now, because our fight is not just for us and the people living, it's for future generations. And that could be what we're fighting for. Just like with Martin Luther King in the civil rights era, what they did really had the effect what's affecting us now, because that new civil rights thing, the racist people that was already in there in employment and corporations, that didn't just flip them from not being racist. So we're benefiting from that decades later. So we have to understand, as a movement, we may just be here to carry this fight to hand to the next generation. But we need to be able to hand them something they can use to possibly win the fight or further this fight along until the following generation. Like, we have to understand that the fight is the goal. The fight is the goal. Maybe I should put that on the shirt. The fight is the goal. The struggle is the goal. The fight. So let him finish up here. We're going to be finishing up here not too
Nevertheless,
soon.
has a kind of
Not too
a
long.
power that often we don't recognize in the moment. I spent almost 2 decades as a war correspondent, and I watched figures stand up in El Salvador, Oscar Romero being one, or in the Balkans, and the ability, even for a sole individual, to express another way of being, to nurture a community. In the wars in Yugoslavia, when they began, the first people killed were not the opposing warlord or leader of the other ethnic group, but that within your own community who still had Muslim friends or Croat friends or Serb friends, who defied that narrative of hate. And the situation that we face is very bleak. We lack the tools to disrupt the rape of the nation by the corporate state. Labor unions are a spent force. Our political system has become, I think, as Sheldon Woolen correctly points out, a system of inverted totalitarianism. Our press, certainly our responsible print press, is dying. Resistance in many ways will be local. And I think that we'll have to find sustenance in a belief that no matter how bleak it gets, that act of resistance, that ability to retain our integrity, is in and of itself a victory.
Right. The victory is in the fight. He gave you the long version, but that's essentially the point that he's making here, is that the victory is in the fight. So let's bring this all around, and then I'm going to give suggestions, solutions. So we've covered left politics and given that an A. That's basically what we believe in. Left strategies. We're essentially doing a bunch of disconnected direct action, disconnected activism, and we need to connect activism. So I give that a D. Left voices, meaning the people we have on the front that are speaking, mainly white, almost all wealthy, and a handful that stray away from war propaganda. So the actual people who are the main voices, the TYTs, MSNBCs, the Ben Dixons, the Crystal Balls, the squads, that's a D for me. And then left media. What we're doing in left media is pretty transparent. It's the covering of bickering. And yeah. Like even I have fallen into that, because one time I did a test, though. I guess this could be funny. One time I did a test where I did a clickbait kind of like thumbnail, and then I told him, like, I just did that to get y'all here, and now this is what. But it's sad. It truly is sad that so the left media I gave a D, but the audience also gets a D, because is it the chicken or the egg? Is the Anna Kasparian video getting 7,000 views because that's what you're interested in, or is it getting 7,000 views because that's what we're putting out? And then the Black Radical videos get, a couple thousand. Left accomplishments, we have none, so that's an F. And building coalition, I would also give an F, because we still we fundamentally don't understand what that means in the context of revolution. We fundamentally don't. I'm just reading some other notes to see if I need to cover that. I do not. So that is that the last video? I think that might be the last video in my notes. So let's go through comments and let's see here. Hang on a second. I love. Oh, they're talking about Caleb. Some great conversations, but this is what I mean by let's get some more people in here. I see multiple different conversations happening in the chat. But again, let's do a like check here. We're standing at 486 likes. Let's see if we can hit 500 before the stream is over. Now let's go to suggestions and solutions. So this is I guess my suggestion. I mean, this is a lot to tackle. So, what Afeni was in California a month or so ago, and we met up and talked about. Summits are good and great, and they are. We need to do something in person. So maybe having a conference or some sort of summit, but it's in person. But that's the next idea because we have to start pushing this forward and not just doing the same sort of things over and over. I'm not sure what to suggest for the left. I really don't, because I don't see reformist leftists really changing. I just don't see that. So, I mean, my hope is that RBN just keeps influencing people, influencing new content creators to begin combating some of this of reformist leftist, old left people. That's one way. The second thing is join an organization. If you say you're a socialist, what organization do you belong to that proves that? If you say you're a socialist, if you say you're a communist, the same thing. If you say, you're for unionizing America, what are you doing about that? Like, what are the tangible things that you're doing? And if you're a person with disabilities, there's tangible things you can also do too. But we on the left have got to, I guess this is one suggestion. We have got to get out of the idea that what makes us a leftist is just the things that we believe. There's no outward expression that is required in order for you, or if I'm speaking for me, to make the claim that I'm a leftist. What am I outwardly doing that shows that indicates that? And yes, you do have to join an organization because, not have to, but joining why? So what you might ask, why does joining an organization? Because how else? We're talking about coalition building. How else are you going to defeat the ruling class unless we join together? So if you're saying you're a communist, why don't you go join other communists, like-minded people? Maybe they have a plan in place. Maybe they have an action in place that you can begin to participate in. We all should be joining organizations that's doing something so we can start to participate in our democracy, to participate in our politics beyond voting. Beyond voting. So thank you for those that are still here. I can't believe we still have over 350 people here. We got up to 500. Thank you for that. I did ask to see if we can get above 500 likes, and I'm going to check on that next. And let me ask the audience this. We're just talking. We're at 500 likes now. So great. Thank you for that. Thank you for the quick response. Let's see if we can keep pushing. I forgot what I was just about to say now. What was I just saying? Oh, Edward, he was actually, or Edward Bernays. I was thinking of Brennan, the one who we had on. He was actually on Bet Beat Media. But I'm going to be doing an episode actually just on him. Maybe next week sometime I might be able to get there. Yes, smash the like button. Bank Sisters in the building. What's up, ladies? 501, you're like number 501. Thank you for that. Been listening for about half an hour, and I'm 100% digging everything CJ's been saying. Thank you for that, sir. Mutual Aid Hub. I don't have any particular. I'm just simply bringing up a point that was made during the Black Power Media Hour during the on the Anti-Period Summit. The people on that panel was like, I think it was Kalanji. It was like, yeah, when people say leftist, that's my first thing. This is him talking. I will ask, what organization do you belong to? And what local organization? It could be, I'm part of the local, growers. So, I'm part of this organization that we grow food for the community. We oversee that. That's doing something. It doesn't have to be a political organization. It could be, I joined the organization, Fight for Trans Rights. That's the name of this organization. I joined this organization. You're joining an organization so you can start to be active. We have organizations that don't have people, that need more people so they can do these actions. Organizations have already established that, hey, we've gotten this far. We think we've formed an organization because we're serious about doing something. We just need people to join so we can execute the things we say we want. So if you say you want Medicare for all, what organization have you joined to support that effort in getting Medicare for all? You're just sitting back going, I support Medicare for all, tweeting shit. What does that do? What does that do? You can join many different organizations. And I was taught, and I mean, this is just an idea, no RBN announcement or anything, but I think we should probably develop some sort of organization, maybe not Revolutionary Blackout, because that's just the 6 people here. Some other organization, some Revolutionary Blackout spinoff, and we're an organization, however we define it to be, and we begin because we have a voice. A lot of people would join that organization. So maybe that's something. And if it's something I do on my own as an RBN member, and I just do it through the channel, like if everybody's not on board with that, but that's something that possibly we could do. We are the anti-imperialist freedom fighters organization, and we focus on organizing police watching groups to make sure they're not killing people. You see how you can be for defund the police? I'm against defund. I'm for defund the police. I'm tweeting it. I'm retweeting people who say I'm against defund the police. What does that do? Now let's take the same scenario with you joining an organization. I'm for defund the police now, but I join an organization. That organization is doing marches. That organization is doing tweet storms all at once to get something trending. That organization is doing police watches. You see how it's different? You see how Joining an organization puts your activism, puts your leftist beliefs into action. And that is the point. I'm not sure what I was talking about. Defund the police is bad, dude. Okay. Funny. Yes. Oh, I like that name. Anti-imperialist freedom fighters. I actually do like that name. Maybe that could be the name of the, or that's the AIFF. AIFF. AIF for short. But yeah, I'm just throwing something out there. This is all just me talking off the top of my head, not anything specific, just me talking off the top of my head. Right. So I forget where I was at. Hang on a second. Joining multiple organizations, like if you're joined a communist local communist organization, and then you also join the pig watchers, meaning the police watchers, I don't see an issue with being a part of two organizations, whatever, you can handle. I don't necessarily see an issue with that. But joining an organization is putting your leftism into action. Otherwise, you're a leftist on the sideline. Like literally, what good does that do? That you're a leftist, but you aren't doing anything actively to get anything done. How does that help the left cause? How does that help? But joining an organization, creating an organization with your friends, getting more people to join your organization, reaching out to other organizations to have some sort of solidarity on specific things. I'm trying to think of the video. Actually, I'm done with the videos. I won't bring the videos back. I've been going for over 2, so I won't bring up that video. I will be bringing up some other videos, but not that one. What I was saying. So I was giving solutions. So another solution, I guess, could be forming unions. And this was one of my ideas also, traveling around the country, unionizing, helping with unionizing efforts. This is something I think RBN, I pose it to them. Hit up Chris and say, hey, Chris, give us some pointers, some tips. Like, what are you doing? We're not part, like if we were doing Walmart, none of us are Walmart employees. We would have to find Walmart employees that are about that life, and we would go support them. So that could be an idea. But tell me what you think of this. The conference, the in-person conference. We have an in-person conference. It's scheduled from a year from now. Everybody's invited. Gerald Horn, Jill Stein, Black Alliance for Peace, Black Power Media. We invite everybody to this conference, and it's in person. We're networking to build coalition. But that's essentially what we're kind of doing with our summits. Just think of all of the new contacts we have now. But all of this takes money, and we need support from the community for doing any of this traveling to unionize. But we need to figure out the cost and figure out all the details, and then pose it to the community about, hey, this is the target, and it's going to get up there. We got 6 people, me, Sabby, Nick, JB, Josana, Rome, traveling around to different Walmarts. That's airfare, that's hotel and food. So things can get up there, but we'll see if the community can support something like that. it's all up in the air. We also want to go on a speaking tour where we're going around the United States speaking. Maybe renting out venues or maybe just parks. Hey, we're speaking at this local park, and however many people show up, we just have our megaphones and we're speaking in that way. So there's a lot of different ways to do it. But this is the next step for me. What I want to pull RBN towards is this. Like, we're going to continue to do the summits, but like I said earlier, I always want to be progressing, and that's one of my progressions is to kind of start doing this. We shall see if it's feasible or not. Hopefully it is, but these are the ideas that I have here. Let me do one last pitch here. Like the video. Let's do a check here. One last check. One last check of the numbers here. All righty. We're at 1,900 views, 317 people watching, 536 likes. This is all great. Great. Let's see if we can get to 600. I know I always do that. Where I just let's get to the next one. But let me play something here. Now I'm getting into just some extra points. So the topic of the autopsy, the American left, that's over. Now I'm branching off into just some other things I'm seeing on Twitter in particular that I want to share in these last few minutes. This one is of Nina Turner. Nina Turner, in June 2022, we got to make a choice between a neo-fascist and neoliberal. So that's what this video is. Very short, minute and 18 video. Let's listen.
You got to make a choice. I get it. Between a neo-fascist and a neoliberal. So I likened it to, and this is how I describe it. You got two bowls of shit in front of you. And you got to pick one. That's the situation we in right now. Bowl number 1 or bowl number 2. But the rules of engagement are you got to pick one. The way for us not to have to continuously always choose between the lesser of the two evils is to do a new thing and make a new demand. Or we will find ourselves right back in this moment again with people fear-mongering about how you got to vote for them because the other one is worse. Now, in this case, Donald Trump is a threat, no doubt about it. But we need leaders who have vision to provide provision for the people and not just scare tactics to get us to vote for one candidate over another. What is your vision for this country? How you going to lift people? What is going to be different under you?
Wow, just beautiful to hear the way she's speaking about, used to speak about it, and it was different in this last campaign. It was just simply different. Even what's his name over there? The status quo. Jordan pointed it out in his video with her. Now, there's this other video, I'm sure all of you have seen it, from the same call where Nina, let me just put it up on the screen here. Oh, it's already there, so you see it. Forgot, I'm sharing it already. So here we go.
We do, among our friends, to push the agenda, to hold their feet to the fire between November 4th and January 21st, when there's a new government put in. And let's assume the health situation is as bad as it is right now, and the unemployment situation is as bad as it is. Here's an opportunity for us to flex some muscle. What do you think?
It. I mean, Brother Paul, you just laid it out. We got to get out there right away. we got to make our demands known right away and not cozy up because you may like the person that was elected or the person that's from your party. That's where we fail. We don't critique. We don't put out a report card about our elected officials for fear that we're going to hurt them. No, that's our power. They're hurting us by not acting. So to me, on January 21st, there should be mass protests. Point blank. These are our demands, whether it's Trump or Biden, but especially if it's Biden. Progressives cannot.
Does this sound like a different Nina Turner to you? Or is it just me? Like, this sounds like a completely different person, in my opinion. At least completely different than the person that has been on the campaign. Completely different. Where is she again? But I do love what she says here, so let me fast forward past what he says to Nina here. It just doesn't, I don't know. Let me say my comments.
Here's an opportunity for us to flex some muscle. What do you think?
I mean, Brother Paul, you just laid it out. We got to get out there right away. We got to make our demands known right away and not cozy up because you may like the person that was elected or the person that's from your party. That's where we fail. We don't critique. We don't put out a report card about our elected.
Remember the critiquing of the squad and critiquing of progressives? Remember that?
Officials for fear that we're going to hurt them. No, that's our power. They're hurting us by not acting. So to me,
they're hurting us by not acting. That came from Nina Turner. They're hurting us by not acting. Just what? 2 years ago. Coming up on 2 years ago, she made that statement. And then right before her first election, she went on the Humanist Report and said, "You're going to be mad at me just because we don't do every strategy. You don't throw them away." It just had a completely different feel here. I'm looking through some other items. I just want to make sure I'm tossing out some other things here. There's another video I want to show after
January
this.
21st, there should be mass protests.
She's calling for mass protests on January 21st. Nina Turner is calling for mass protests. Just, guess so. Nina Turner is calling for mass protests. Oops. Okay, I'm setting up the next video that I'm going to be playing here. My apologies. That's what we've been asked. That's what we've been asking for. It's for that for politicians to be requesting this. Now, imagine if AOC was requesting this, was saying this with her 12, or I always say 12, but I know it's not 12, with her followers. Imagine her going out saying something like this that Nina Turner is saying. But what we want you to do is get elected and continue to speak this way, not get elected and go, like kind of like shy away from it, change your wording. Anyway, I've come to an end. I can hear my wife in the other room saying stuff, so I need to get off here, everybody. Thank you for supporting the channel. If you haven't supported us yet and you're able to, please go to our Patreon. It's patreon.com/Revolutionary Blackout. Contribute what you can. Actually, this is the best and maybe only, this right now, this is the only way you can contribute to us. I like Patreon. So let's get our likes up before we jump off. We're at 560. Let's push that up. Let's see if we can get another 100. We're at 560. Let's see if we can get another 100 before all is said and done here. All right, now I'm back on here. Like the stream, subscribe. We just hit 16,400. 16,400. We've hit. Oh wow. Wow. You got a good amount of people that subscribed today. Like over 40 people subscribed. We were at 5 something. Yeah. Over 40 people subscribed today. Thank you so much for doing that. Like I said, it really, really does help. I don't want you to think your subscription does not help the cause, because it does. So please just continue to continue to share our videos, tell your friends about us. Let's continue to grow as a community. Yeah. Thank you for everybody on Rockfin for watching. I got to always make sure I shout them out. Thank you for those on Facebook who are watching. I'm going to end with, actually, let's see if I can find a video for us to end with. I'll take you on my ride here. Not my bookmarks, but let's go. Actually, let's go to my bookmarks. Let's go to my bookmarks here. Oh, let's use this one that Nick used, because it's a short video, but we're going to use it.
Because they get worse under Democrats than they do under Republicans, because they essentially govern like
because it's a good.
Then they forget how bad the Republicans.
Because it's a good video. So Nick, in under a minute, explains the whole process, the whole terrible system, political system we have in the United States in under a minute. If you follow him, I'm sure you've seen it. If you follow me, you've seen it, or RBN on Twitter, you've seen this video. But the video will loop twice, and then the stream will end. I will not be coming back after the video. So have a great rest of your day. Actually, I may loop it 3 times. Have a great rest of your day. And I don't know when I'm going to see you again. So whenever I get some time, that's kind of, I'm playing it by ear right now. Whenever I get some time. So I might be here 9:30 a.m. tomorrow, Eastern. Or I might be here at the same time tomorrow. All depends on the wifey. All righty, everybody. So have a great rest of your day. And this clip is a great clip of Nick.
Crazy Republicans scare the shit out of people. Democrats promise a slightly more progressive agenda. They don't do the slightly more progressive agenda. People get pissed off because things get worse under Democrats than they do under Republicans, because they essentially govern like Republicans. Then they forget how bad the Republican was because they're so upset with the Democrat. Then they elect the fascist Republican. Then we repeat the whole cycle again. That happened with George Bush. George Bush was so bad, we fucking elected a black man. And then Barack Obama pissed people off so bad, we elected a game show host. And then the game show host fascist pissed people off so bad, we elected Jim Crow Joe. And now the cycle is about to continue again. It's so predictable. That's literally ad design. But go ahead, CJ. That's the quick way to sum it up.
Yeah, that was a good summation. Let's play a little more.
Crazy Republicans scare the shit out of people. Democrats promise a slightly more progressive agenda. They don't do the slightly more progressive agenda. People get pissed off because things get worse under Democrats than they do under Republicans, because they essentially govern like Republicans. Then they forget how bad the Republican was because they're so upset with the Democrat. Then they elect the fascist Republican. Then we repeat the whole cycle again. That happened with George Bush. George Bush was so bad, we fucking elected a black man. And then Barack Obama pissed people off so bad, we elected a game show host. And then the game show host fascist pissed people off so bad, we elected Jim Crow Joe. And now the cycle is about to continue again. It's so predictable. That's literally ad design. Go ahead. That's the quick one.
Yeah, that was a good